What's up, guys? Lore here, and on tap this week we have Blacklight Retribution. This is a free-to-play first-person shooter, very similar in playstyle to the Modern Warfare game. So that very fast-paced, sort of twitchy, visceral, in-your-face first-person shooter goodness. I love playing games like this just because it's one of those awesome games that you just kind of, when you're playing really well at it, when you're on, you sort of shut off and just start shooting and things die and you don't even actually have any idea how it's actually happening. Really awesome, very adrenaline-based, high-speed combat. So, this is, if you haven't figured it out already, in a futuristic setting. It's kind of a near future, to a degree, futuristic setting, which means they've added a whole bunch of cool stuff. So first of all, what's all this wall hack nonsense? Why do I keep peeking through walls? Well, that would be the hyper reality visor. Using that actually allows me to see through walls, and this kind of takes the place of the mini-map, like you might have in a Call of Duty, and obviously not on a hardcore server, but or in the hardcore game type, but you know, the little mini-map you have that shows like where are people shooting and so on that you can look at, and you call out a UAV and it looks at everything and so on. Kind of takes the place of that thing. You'll notice I don't actually have a mini-map in the corner at all, so I have to use my hyper reality visor to look around the area and figure out where people are. Now what's kind of neat is that you might think, okay, well, it's a hyper reality visor, it's going to look through everything, they've got wall hacks, like I'm seeing this guy coming up on me right now, right? So there's no way to be sneaky. That's actually not the case. It's kind of amazing how much skill they've actually managed to put into using the hyper reality visor. Here I've actually been given a revive syringe and I didn't even notice in time to save my teammate. That's unfortunate. But yeah, it's interesting how much skill they've managed to put into it. So in the lower right, like the very lower right portion of the screen, you see a little bar down there. And when I've activated the hyper reality visor, that bar will start to drain. And it drains farther the longer that I have the hyper reality visor active. And I cannot use the HR, I'm going to start abbreviating it, the HRV again until that bar is completely back up to full, which basically means that the longer you use it, the longer it's going to take before you can use it again, which adds this kind of interesting little element of sort of recognition into using the hyper reality visor effectively, where the faster you can pop it open and look around and get a sense of what's going on and then close it again, the better off you're going to be. You'll notice I'm only bringing it up for like half a second most of the time, and then really quick putting it away again and just sort of relying on my memory of what I just saw to give me a sense of what's actually going on around me. And there you can actually see the other sort of skill element of using the HRV, in that when you have it active, you can't shoot, and it's actually really hard to navigate around because all the walls and everything fade out. So a lot of times I will actually just go and get myself killed activating the hyper reality visor because I can't shoot, I can't respond, and somebody runs around the corner and shoots me in the face. Now this here is the other major difference and an awesome sort of futuristic gameplay feature that they've added into Blacklight Retribution. I'm calling down a hard suit right now, which I have to have an open space to call it down, but there it is. This is a mech. This is a walker. Not something you generally see in this sort of game, and it's really awesome how they've actually managed to balance it out. So real quick, before I get into the nitty-gritty details of the design behind this thing, it has a ton of armor. I'm basically a walking tank right now. I have an awesome gun, like I have a railgun and then a minigun as well, and I can chew players apart in a hurry. Now you might say, okay, well, you have this gun, you have this awesome gun, you're going to be able to destroy everybody, you can't be killed very easily, this has got to be completely and totally overpowered, right? Like, there's no way that this is actually balanced. And it's kind of amazing the way they actually have balanced it. So, there's actually a lot of risk that goes into using a mech like this. The first thing is that once I'm in this, I lose access to my hyper reality visor. There is a way to get like a real brief hyper reality visor pulse while you're inside of a mech, but you have to give up another piece of equipment. I'm going to go into that the loadouts a little bit later. You have to give up another piece of equipment to use it, and it's still not as effective as the basic hyper reality visor. So what that means is that a lot of times I can just walk around in circles and not actually find anybody. Like, you'll notice I'm actually having to follow around my teammates to get any sense of where anybody else in this whole area actually is. Of course, once I find somebody, I can chew them apart in a pretty big hurry. If I can actually hit them, that would be awesome. But it's not actually very easy for me to find people. I have to rely on my teammates and watching their motions around the map to figure out where I should actually go. The other thing is that I can be seen in other people's hyper reality visor, and I'm obviously very slow, so you can move around me very easily. So again, it's really easy to get into a mech and then just never actually find anybody because they're moving around you and you don't have an easy way to actually find them. The other thing about the mechs is that they're actually pretty easily countered. So first of all, if you're just on foot, nothing special going on, just on foot, any one of these guys around me could do this, and you activate your hyper reality visor, you will see a glowing spot on the mech. And that spot is actually extra vulnerable. And now here, obviously, someone else has called in a mech. This is one way to try and deal with mechs, is to just get into mech-to-mech combat. I've already taken a bunch of damage, so I had to run away. I'm at 8,773 armor at the moment. So I run away, and I have to be crafty for a second. So I actually lured him over here where I knew I had some teammates that would help me. And for whatever reason, he decided to go after me instead of killing them. And between me and the teammates, we were actually able to take him out. On top of having a weak point on each mech, which, you know, again, can be shot, and it takes extra damage when you shoot a mech in the weak point, you can also go to the same terminal that I bought the mech from and pick up a flamethrower or a rocket launcher. And both of those are actually, well, as you can see here, it's actually extremely effective against the mechs. And they're also a lot cheaper to actually pick up. You're earning credits as you're getting kills or taking over points and so on, getting assists and things like that. You spend those credits to get anything. So I bought the mech earlier. The mech cost me 1,300 credits. These are just in-game credits. They have nothing to do with the cash shop, which I'll talk about in a bit. The flamethrower or the rocket launcher only cost 500. So it's actually way, way easier to get a weapon that can take out a mech than it is to get the mech to begin with, which again means that there's this very large element of risk in actually getting into one of these things. I'm going to jump over to another match real quick to show you what I'm talking about. So I saw a guy over there. I'm going to run over and try and fight him, but there's a mech walking up there. So I decided I don't want anything to do with that. Now I look in my hyper reality visor and I notice that his knee right there, you can see the blue flashes, meant I was hitting his weak point. And you can see he started to get a little bit lower on health as a result. So he did take a bunch of damage from that. Unfortunately, he also shot me in the face, and so I died. So I'm going to use this thing right here and go over here and pick up a flamethrower. Now, the flamethrower, you have to get very, very close range to actually kill them. But the neat thing about the flamethrower versus the rocket launcher is that it doesn't actually damage the mech. It kills the person inside the mech, which means that once I kill him, I can actually take the mech. I think we end up screwing around on this elevator for a while, so real quick, let me explain how the CP works. Like I mentioned before, you get CP for the credit points, basically, for getting kills, getting assists, helping out with nodes, etc. Anything like that, you know, killing someone who is considered a high-threat target, things like that. So I have 1970 after purchasing that thing. So now I'm going to come over here, and I've got my flamethrower out. This guy got way too close in a hurry, and I was able to burn him out of the mech. I've actually killed him inside the mech, and as soon as this mech cools off, I'm going to actually be able to get inside of it. So I've actually stolen his mech now by using that flamethrower. So not only have I taken out his mech for my 500 credits, but I've also got one now. I've gotten my own, which again costs 1,300 credits to begin with. Now, once I'm in this mech, I'm able to come around over here, and I start fighting some other people, but I see another enemy mech up over there. So now that I have this mech, I can actually go and fight him. I take him out. And then this here, I love this little part here because it shows another way that mechs can actually be taken out. I'm actually surrounded now at this point, and there are people on all sides of me. I'm trying to kill them, but I'm running out of ammo and having to reload and so on. And these guys are really, really focusing hard on taking me out, and they've surrounded me. I'm now actually getting shot from behind. I tried to jump out in time, but I couldn't, and I actually got killed by the same guy who I stole the mech from to begin with. So really, really awesome how the mechs work out to actually not be super ridiculously overpowered. They are very strong, and when used well, they're really, really good. And then I get shot in the face. That's awesome. But there are ways to counter them. There are actually not super complicated ways to counter them. So really, really cool. Really happy with how well that worked out. It gives a little bit of an element of vehicle combat, and a little bit of element of that awesome stomping around, just feeling like a badass shooting people with your giant mech and everything into a first-person shooter in a way that doesn't automatically turn into everybody who has a mech is just completely and totally overpowered. Okay, so the game just plays great. I'm a huge fan of how well the game actually plays out and the overall balance they've got going on. Even if they can find a way to make mechs not be overpowered, that's pretty cool. But this is a free-to-play game. Let's look at how they're doing in terms of the cash shop. I'm actually a big fan of how this is working too. So for starters, let's start here. We have two different types of currency you're going to be dealing with. One of those is GP. That's your in-game currency. You earn those just for completing matches, finishing rounds, that sort of thing. You earn, on average, it's about 150 GP for every match. And that goes up or down depending on how long you were in the match and how well you did. And whether you won or lost. But it's on average around 150 GP per match. You use that to buy gear that you've unlocked while you've been leveling up. So there is a leveling system. You can see I'm level 14. There is actually a leveling system in place. And as I level up, if I come in here and take a look at some of this stuff, you can see there's some of these things that I have not unlocked yet. I will unlock this at level 17. Everything else, if I go and take a look at it, the white ones are ones that I already have. Some of these I've already purchased. And then the yellow ones are ones that I have access to but have not purchased as of yet. And again, looking at the prices here real quick, 125 GP for the muzzle that I'm using at the moment. Not a big deal. That's one round and I've got this muzzle. Not a big problem at all. You also have Zen that you're dealing with, which is the real money currency. It's at a conversion rate of 1 US cent into 1 Zen. So this thing costs 15 Zen. That would be 15 cents. 100 Zen is $1. Really, really easy to keep track of. I'm really happy that they didn't go for one of those super awkward, oh, it's like 7 Zen for every 15 cents or something like that. No, it's really, really straightforward. Huge fan of that. I like knowing how much I'm actually spending on something. So that's cool. There are a few things that you can only buy with Zen. Everything that you can buy with GP, I believe, with a couple of minor exceptions. I think there's like nodes or something, which are kind of like runes. You can't buy those with Zen, but everything else you can buy with Zen. There are some things that you can only buy with Zen, though. That's nothing super overpowered. I'll get into some of that in a minute. You can also buy gear that you have not yet unlocked from leveling. So here, if I wanted this barrel, for example, or this muzzle, if I wanted to use this thing, I could actually purchase it now for 20 cents. And that would unlock it early, even though I'm not able to purchase it for GP because I don't yet have I'm not level 21 yet, so I don't have the GP access to that. Now, these prices all probably sound really, really super cheap, right? It's like, okay, I can play one game and unlock this thing. Well, here's the thing. It runs on a rental system. Everything that you buy is rented. So if I look at another one of these here, if I were to purchase this, I can buy it for 1 day for 125 GP. Or I can buy it for 7 days for 700 GP. Or I can buy it permanently for 3,275 GP. Now that's a lot, okay? When we're getting into permanent unlocks for GP, that's quite a bit. However, I can also permanently unlock it for 300 Zen, which is $3. So if I say, you know what, I've been using this muzzle all the time anyway, I really like this thing, I think I'm going to go ahead and buy it, I would be fine with dropping the $3 to unlock that permanently. Or even like a 7-day unlock, that's $1, just under $1 to unlock that for 7 days. So really seems decent. In that regard. I don't mind that it's a rental system just because for the 1-day unlock, again, this is one game to unlock this thing. If I were to do a full gun, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are not that important. So 6 things, it'd be 6 games to play to unlock a full build of a gun. Really doesn't take that long at all. And you don't have to buy it right then. You can use something else in the meantime, and then next time you're going to start your day, you start out like, see, I've got 2,600 GP saved up at the moment. I can start my day by buying a full build. It only takes me about 2,000 GP total to buy my entire setup, including all my equipment and everything. And then I can just go into my day right like that. I can play about 15 games, and I'm right back where I started. Really not a big problem there at all. So that's how I have things set up here. I'm using a custom gun at the moment. It's something that I built because of my playstyle. I like to get really up into people's faces. So I have a gun, SMG, which is a very, very short range gun, and it's set up for maximum accuracy. So it's not as much damage per bullet, but more of my bullets are hitting. And also means that I don't have to aim down the scope to actually be accurate with it. So that I really like. It lets me stay super mobile, running around like crazy, and just shooting people in the face everywhere I go. Now, if you didn't want to go through all the trouble of customizing out an entire gun, not a big deal. You go up here into the pre-made section, you can buy a completed gun for just 200 GP. Okay, so if you're worried about coming in here and going, okay, well, that's 6 matches to be able to build a complete custom gun, yeah, that's a completely custom gun. I can come up here and get this gun, which is, I mean, you can look at the stats over here. By the way, there's a ton of stats to actually keep track of, but you can look at the stats over here. It's almost the same as, like, in a lot of ways, it's actually better than my current gun because it's using some parts that I don't have access to yet. I can buy this for 200 GP. That's 1.5 games at the most to be able to buy this gun. I play 2 games, I buy this, and it's just as good as everything else. So it is also important to note that you do have some default stuff that it's not like you can ever not have a gun, right? You can actually get your way through 2 matches, and it's no big deal. So the pre-made stuff is really, you can only purchase these for 1-day rental periods. You can't permanently unlock any of this stuff. But again, it's 200 GP, 25 Zen if you really want to pay real money for one of these things. I wouldn't recommend it. I feel like 2 matches is just not worth the 25 cents. Might as well just drop the 200 GP. And all those same rules apply to your equipment as well. There's a whole bunch of different stats on these things. You got different pieces of armor. You've got different pieces of gear, like a heal injector, repair tools for repairing mechs, revival injector for getting up fallen teammates. You can get a cloak. Whoops. You can get a cloak. Apparently that's going to keep popping up for stealthing. A barricade, which is this neat looking shield thing. And again, all this stuff you can also unlock early with Zen if you really, really want to. And if I wanted to, I could spend the $10, have this shield right now permanently if I really wanted this shield for whatever reason. Now, there are some Zen-only things, and for the most part, that seems to be pretty tame. It seems to be cosmetic stuff. There are these hero characters. These cost Zen, so let's look at this guy here. This robot-looking dude. He costs 2,000 Zen, so $20 to unlock this guy. That's a permanent unlock for 2,000 Zen. Now, I do have kind of a gripe with how they have these set up, because this guy looks cool, right? He's pretty neat. He's a freaking robot. I would love to be a freaking robot running around with my SMG and my setup that I have, that I've spent all my time on building everything out, right? Like, even in my armor, I have everything set up here, basically to try and give myself as much stamina and health as possible so that I can run around like crazy and shoot people in the face and not die. However, if I were to buy this guy, I would be stuck with this set of gear. This is the exact set of gear that I will be able to use, and that is it. Which means, sure, I'll gain a little bit of health, and I'll gain quite a bit of armor, but I will have lower stamina, I'll have lower HRV recharge, I'll have lower run speed, and I'll have lower HRV active time and lower HRV recharge time. I'm stuck with that. I can use my gun still, so that's good, but I'm stuck with this stuff. And I really feel like this would be better if I could buy this just for the looks. If I don't care about all this stuff, I would love to be able to buy a version of it. Like, this is a special skin for him now at that point. He has alternate skins, but you're still stuck with the exact same gear setup. It's kind of frustrating, because, again, it looks really cool. I would love to be able to buy this just to look cool, but I can't. So that's kind of frustrating. Look at this. Like, this looks awesome. I want to look like this, but I can't unless I just really am fine with getting stuck with this exact gear setup, which, again, I would rather be able to customize that still. The other thing you can buy for Zen are emotes, and these are purely cosmetic and pretty awesome. I like the way this is set up. You can look at a bunch of different ones here. This one costs $2.50 to be able to buy that. There's a clap. This one costs, again, $2.50. It seems like that's probably about the same price as most of them here. Yeah, $2.50. And some of them you get as rewards from buying chance packs on the marketplace. Let me look up one of those here. Okay, so there's taunt chance packs. For $1, I can buy this and get a chance at a taunt. And there's some other weird stuff going on in here too. I'm not a huge fan of some of these things, like, okay, here's a hero and premium skin chance pack. For 100 Zen, I can buy this, and it has a chance to contain the hero. Or it can be a weapon tag. Or it can be a 1-day self GP boost. I don't know what it is. It can be any one of these things on the list. And that just seems kind of shady to me. I'm not a huge fan of that. Fortunately, that's completely and totally optional. You don't have to participate in that at all if you don't want to. So I've just been choosing to ignore it and focus on the aspect of the gameplay that I do actually like. Again, I would really like to be able to actually buy these different heroes to be able to look cool like this. I think this one is actually only as an award. I don't know how you get that. I guess only available via chance pack in the marketplace. She has like a robot arm. That's kind of neat. And there's this dude. He's all creepy looking. But again, stuck with this exact gear setup. Like, he's got lots of stamina. He's got lots of run speed. He has 175 health. This dude is squishy. I don't want to be that squishy running in there with a submachine gun. This guy, again, he has tons of health. He has tons of armor. No stamina. Not a setup that I really want to play with. I would rather go with my custom setup that I like, that I've set up to how I like it. So that's kind of annoying. But overall, the cash shop is done incredibly well. There's no major advantages. There's no pay to win here whatsoever. No major advantages given to people who are spending money on the game. At best, you get more options, which I'm totally fine with. Like, it's completely horizontal progression. Every single one of these pieces in here, even down to these barrels that I've been picking out, every single one of these is a side grade. It's a trade-off. If I were to switch over to this barrel, like, look, I gain some run speed, but I lose some accuracy. So not that big of a deal to me at all that you can unlock. Like, I could scroll all the way over to the end here and unlock this thing. I mean, even this. It's got more accuracy, so I might look into using this once I get to this point, once I get to level 25. But it's got a little bit less damage as well. A little bit more range, a little bit less run speed, a little bit less damage. Very much side grade stuff. I'm very happy with how they have this cash shop set up. So, this has been Blacklight Retribution. Again, I'm really, really enjoying this game so far. I like what they're doing with the free-to-play model, with the rental system. I like how solid the game feels. Really, it's just fun to play. It feels every bit as good as a Call of Duty. In fact, in a lot of ways, I actually consider this game to be better than the Call of Duty series. So I'll definitely be playing a lot more of this. In fact, I think I might go play some more right now. So let me know what you think. Give me some feedback on this thing. It's the first episode of On Tap that I've done. Want to know what you think of the series, if there's anything I can improve on. I want to make these things as good as I can. Anyway, that's it from me. I'm Lore. I'll see you guys later.